What up, folks? I have a question. First, let's cue the music. Okay. What if you as an incel were doing something that people might consider as kind of quirky and is not a major thing, but it's enough that can kind of put you off socially? And what if somebody told you about it and just basically gave what I consider as constructive criticism that can make a difference? Would you be for that? Because I know myself, for the most part, I didn't have much in the way of what I consider as constructive criticism. Actually, I did get constructive criticism, but it was usually from people that was trying to get me to be more street. And we know what that's like. I mean, come on. I'm not a street guy. I don't want to be a street guy. I'm not impressed by street guys. So why would I want to be street guys? And I kind of saw where it went. But that's sort of another subject. Case in point, I generally wear polo shirts. I would go to somewhere like Kmart and get what I consider large size polo shirt. Well, extra large. Well, those shirts, even though they said extra large, they really did not fit long. That's the best way I can say it. They fit well, but they didn't fit long. And I didn't think anything about it, but I have seen people who wore shirts that just seemed short. And it wasn't until a couple of times a couple of my students had said something about me wearing short shirts that I realized that the shirts I was wearing were kind of they were fitting on the short side. And I knew it didn't look that well dressed, as far as the way I was dressed. I'm usually a casual dresser, but I try to be a neat casual dresser. And in this case, I think I was coming off not so neatly or not so put together. Now, it would have been nice had somebody said something in a constructive fashion, and I would have took care of that a long time ago. But I could imagine that there would have been girls that would have saw how I was dressed with those shirts, and they might have been put off by it. And now this is for people that, again, they're not overly overweight. They're not like deformed. They don't have a major defection. I'm just talking about somebody that looks average and they're still an incel. It's one of those things that maybe you can do to change your life. Find somebody that can give constructive criticism, but it gotta be the right person. Because like I mentioned before, there were always people trying to give me constructive criticism, but I didn't like what they were trying to get me to do or the way they were trying to get me to be. It just would have been a disaster in my case. So I didn't opt that way. But for little quirky things I might have did, hey, if my shoes were run over and I didn't realize it, any little thing, if my pants were flooded and it didn't look good fashion-wise, I wouldn't have a problem with somebody letting me know if they were doing it in a nice, constructive manner. It's different when somebody is trying to make fun of you, but when it's done in a nice, constructive fashion, that might be beneficial, especially if it's done in a way that might be a general consensus and it might be putting people off. Now, I know sometimes finding somebody to give you constructive criticism, that's a lot easier said than done, and I do realize that. But if it'll help, is this something to consider? I sure wish somebody would have did that with me when I was wearing shirts that I determined later on were too short. Again, the shirt said extra large, but I didn't know I had to wear XLT. Had I known about XLT, that's what I would have been buying a long time ago. Sadly enough, there's not a lot of XLTs in a lot of stores, but still, they exist, and those are the shirts I generally buy. And you're probably still saying, why is he talking about shirts? Because it shows a classic example of what I'm talking about. If there's something about you that's putting people off and you can do something about it, maybe you should. And that's probably going to take constructive criticism from the right type of person. Not somebody that's being critical in a negative way, not somebody that's trying to push you into the wrong things, but if somebody is trying to generally help. Not everybody that criticizes you is there to help, but there are some people that will.